We watched Andor, episode 10, so you know what time it is.
Hit that intro.
Woo!
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, everybody, if it's your first time joining us, welcome. We're two dads who love all things fandom, from Star Wars to Star Trek, Marvel to DC, and Middle-earth on down to Westeros. We love it all, and we want to bring all of our insights and love of all things nerdy to you, our viewers. So if that's your glass of Chandrillin Squig, then we're here for you, and you should definitely subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on all of our amazing reviews and insights that we bring to all of our favorite fandoms. So thanks for tuning in, guys. My name is Chris Matthews, and I'm joined, as always, by the man in the hour, Mr. Matt Parham. How you doing today, brother?
Not too bad. How are you doing, buddy?
Great. Finally able to talk to you about this episode. It's been a long time coming. Sorry, guys, it's been a little bit late for us here on Fatherly Fandom, but life happens, family happens, so sometimes there's delays. But can't wait to talk to you about this episode of Andor, episode 10, One Way Out, directed by Toby Haynes, directed by Boo Willimon. Once again, my favorite named person of this, favorite writer of this series so far, not only for their name, but because, goddamn, they can write. Yeah. That's right. So let's get into it. As always, guys, I look at the Rotten Tomatoes score, and no surprise, once again, 100% on Rotten Tomatoes with 18 critics rating this as fresh. So average rating altogether of these 18 critics is 9.2 out of 10. So all 18 thought this was fresh. Nobody thought it was rotten, and I can see exactly where they're coming from. So let's find out what these two dads thought of this episode of Andor. So take it away, brother.
Yeah, it was flawless. You know, I don't think that these reviews are really going to go any other way. You know, every single Wednesday, I'm just like, we're just going to keep seeing it. They brought it so much to every single episode. I can't see them going wrong. And knowing that there's a season 2, I got to say, is such a relief, because I feel like with only 2 episodes left, and with the pacing that they've had for the entire series, there's just going to be too much story to tell yet. So I know that we're headed towards, at least my prediction, is that we're headed towards a finale that's not going to give a whole ton of resolution, but basically just end an arc, like you've been saying this entire time, wrap up a third arc for the season, and introduce us to what will become the new arc for season 2, which, man, I hope they get season 2 out to us in the next 90 days, because I really hate having to wait for all these great shows that we've been reviewing here. It's like, after this, hopefully Willow sucks. Hopefully Willow's just terrible, and there's nothing to look forward to in season 2, because I really can't stand another heartbreaking show that I've got to wait years to find out what happens to the characters. So,
well, you know, there's a lot of content even besides Willow coming out, so we'll have lots to look forward to.
Lots to be
hopefully
disappointed in the season finales.
I honestly don't hope Willow sucks. I hope it's amazing. It would be really good for Warwick Davis. It'd be a nice little send off for him.
I'm sure Warwick Davis will completely blow us away, but man, I just need a series that isn't all that great. I guess maybe She-Hulk kind of fit that bill. It was too weird to not be like, if they came out with a season 2, I'd kind of be interested to see what in the world
I'd still enjoy it. Yeah,
to CGI Thor's son. So
with an awful haircut, as it were. Oh, geez, it was just disgusting. But yeah, like you, Matt, I continue to not find flaws with this show, especially with this episode, with this whole arc. Obviously, this is my favorite arc so far. And the one word comes to mind when I think about this episode. I've watched it 3 or 4 times now. Masterpiece. Like, that's the level that we're getting with this show now, and it is insane what they're doing. Andy Serkis's performance throughout this last episode is just beyond.
So I thought the same exact thing, man. I thought, man, he's just a star. He's
Yeah.
a movie star to the ultimate degree,
Yeah.
and Diego Luna. I mean, everybody though. That's my problem is that there's just not only one standout. There's just
Right.
so much to like about every actor's performance, big to small.
They got
with
it
lots
all.
of screen time or minimal screen time. Even
Yeah.
what's his name, Lenny, Mr. Mustachio, at the end of the episode.
Is that his actual name? I was trying to find his name. His name is Lenny? Is that
I
real?
think it's Lenny. I think that's what Stellan Skarsgård calls
Lenny.
him.
Well, that's
Or
perfect
Lonnie.
because
Maybe it's
yeah.
Lonnie.
I
it's
think
Lonnie.
I think you're right. I think it is
Yeah.
Lonnie. But man,
Supervisor Lonnie Jung is
There
what
you
his name is.
there you go.
Played
But
by Robert Ems.
yeah, he
Yeah,
could definitely
it would-
pass off as a Lenny, though. I mean, he's got the
He
look.
could definitely be a Lenny. Yeah.
Definitely.
I think if I shaved down to just my mustache, no one would call me Matt. It would be Lenny.
Lenny.
Completely.
Nice. But yeah, I wanted to take us back, especially for this episode. And I went back too. I had enough time since, we had a little hiatus here, Fatherly Fan. I'm sorry about that, guys. But I went back and watched this whole arc, and it just flowed beautifully. Like this works as a movie. And I got to give it up, for the music of this episode too. With the composer Nicholas Bertel is doing extraordinary work, and I just especially for this episode in particular, the drums and everything that they have here kind of remind me, and the tension that he builds reminds me so much of Hans Zimmer. So just
I was
putting
going to
this all
say it sounded like Hans
So
Zimmer.
much.
I thought it was.
right,
But,
yeah, it's very similar to that in The Dark Knight, and I think looking at the show as a whole, it really does feel like this is the closest we're going to get to a Christopher Nolan type Star Wars story that we're going to get out there. And I think that is amazing. And just hearing that music is awesome. I think Nicholas Bertel, you're doing a great job with this composition that you've put together. And apparently Tony Gilroy lives pretty close to where Nicholas Bertel lives and everything, and he would bike over to his house while they were preparing for the show, working on the composition. And he's like, you guys, he's got some amazing stuff prepared for you, especially in the finale and everything, bringing all this stuff together. And you can see these different elements of this musical composition coming together throughout the series and building and building and building. And you're seeing that definitely in this episode a lot more. So I can't wait to see what we have in store for us in the next couple of episodes. So I really wanted to highlight that here for you guys. I love how these Imperials are viewed in this lens that we see from the prisoner's point of view. But then when we get to actually see them when they're taking over the prison and everything, they're you could see they're human. They're not evil, menacing guys.
Everything, right, is so authentic. You
Right.
don't have just. It reminded me a lot of All Quiet on the Western Front, at least the classic movie, the book. How the Nazis in that storyline are given human storylines, and that they're very much there because of the situation they were in their lives at the time the regime took over, and you feel that. Same as you're saying in these guards throughout the prison break.
Yeah. So it's really cool to see that because you can kind of relate with some of these guards and everything and what they're doing and the fear in their faces, this is the job for them. But at the same time,
as they're going past the window and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, great little details.
These are regular Joes, contractors on the Death Star type of thing that Kevin Smith brings up in Clerks, if you remember that. Same type of thing. And so it's really cool to see these layers of these characters and these people that are supposedly bad in this empire as well. But we know, they do make terrible decisions too. They fried all of level 2 as well, which, Kino mentions in his amazing speech that we get in there. And I love the fact that, they're playing Andor off, and they did this in Rogue One as well. They're playing Andor off as kind of a catalyst for everybody else. He kind of builds up these leaders. He's not the leader type, but he's the person that gets the right person in place to help out in the rebellion. It kind of feels like it. And that's the kind of way that they're treating him. He doesn't want to be in the limelight. He wants to get the right people in the right positions and whatnot. What do you think of that, Matt?
I kind of feel like this first season will be our introduction to how Andor is sold on the rebellion. The first arc gives us a little bit of his initial inclusion into a rebel effort and how he got involved with the heist and all that sort of thing. He's very much a follower, but he's an educated one. He knows his way around flying a ship, piloting and that sort of thing. And he can handle his own, but he doesn't really want to get involved, even though he does to some degree. He just gets a little taste of the rebellion. And then the second arc, he thinks that he can hide from the influence of the Empire, but he's drawn back in. Very Godfather 2-esque, right? Or I guess Godfather 3, really. But
the best one, right?
Yeah. But that's a whole other...
It's not open that can of worm, guys.
Yeah, we'll have to cover that classic later. Anyway, in this arc, he's very much drawn into rebelling against the Empire in a very real, tactile way. He's involved in the planning of rebelling against the Imperial forces here. But in this arc, he is not in a leadership role per se. He's almost there. He is planning it, but then he uplifts a leader. And I thought just a hugely impactful moment in that, during these kinds of events in film, we're often given a grand speech, Independence Day, Braveheart, Gladiator, but having this sort of Jiminy Cricket role for Andor to sort of give...
Let your conscience be your guide.
Right, to give Andy Serkis' character the courage to become the leader that he needs to be at that moment, to influence the prisoners, to take up arms together. I thought it was just so perfect. It just seems so realistic too. Even though this is Star Wars, it seemed like you're not automatically going to have a speech prepared in these moments. You might need a little boost, and then there you go. Andor did a great job of doing that. So I thought that was just a brilliant stroke of writing. I mean, you just don't see stuff like that outside this show, I think.
You don't, and oh my gosh, just the quotes in this alone, I think work way better than what we got in Rogue One. And Rogue One, they tried to do this a little bit, like rebellions are built on hope, and then that theme was built up and used.
Right.
But on this one, you have Andor saying, "I would rather die trying to take them down than die giving them what they want," and it sums up this whole series basically. I love that, and that was the thing that convinced him and convinced Kino in order to go through. And he uses that line later on in the speech as well. And I love that callback too. And I love that we got that, and it fits so perfectly for that moment.
I really hope that we see Kino to some extent again, because if we don't, I do feel like they've shortchanged his character a little.
Okay, yeah, because we could talk about this too. Yeah, so do you believe we will see Kino again?
I think we'll either see him again, or we'll see him mentioned again and getting sort of a resolution to his fate. Either he was captured, or he was shot, or they'll give us something that will kind of wrap up that character.
Yeah, I think it's more likely that that's probably going to be what happens, because I feel like personally that it'd be shortchanged if they did keep him alive or something like that, or if they brought him back, because that was such a brilliant thing for them to do. He got these people out. He rallied all these folks to get out and escape. One way out, and he had no way out because he couldn't swim. I can't swim. Yeah. I can't believe that was just brutal to hear and brutal to see and everything.
But I feel like, though, with hundreds of people, they could have got him to shore. I mean,
that's what I was thinking too. I was like, somebody couldn't have carried him or something like that too.
But Five Guys,
maybe. Yeah, they could probably bring him a burger from Five Guys, right? So
there you go.
Yeah, there you go. But And that's another question too I had is like you see Melfi and Andor come up on the shore, but you don't see anybody else alongside them. So they're the ones that are running out, and I'm wondering if just everybody's spread out at that point because you see a lot of people in the water,
Sharks,
but maybe space sharks over there. But I'm very curious to see how they actually get out of that situation too. It's like because the Imperials are after them. They see the lights in the background too, and I have no idea how they're going to resolve that and how they're going to get him back. That manifesto that he was given too, that's on a whole different planet as well. Like, or is he going to get that back, or did he read that and that's something he's going to write down later on? If that's going to come back.
Don't you just love like not knowing for once?
Yeah. Right? I no idea. We don't have a story to read. Yeah.
With no reference here of where it's going. We know what will happen.
Except for the overall.
Yeah. But like what happens next to these characters, I'm so excited. For once, I don't have a good prediction as to the next steps here. So yeah, I
don't either. And then we kind of get another, because you see the ISB, the Imperial Security Bureau, dealing with the Krieger situation, which is a callback from one of the earlier episodes where where Luthen was trying to recruit and everything and help Krieger out and whatnot. And we find out at the end of this episode, don't we, that he's got somebody on the ISB, Lenny or Lonnie,
Lonnie
under his toe. And apparently, like, they haven't been talking for about a year, and it's because Lonnie has a child now and whatnot. And I think that actor did a great job of portraying like what it's like to be a dad in that situation, how your perspective as a parent changes when you have a child and everything, and like this whole double life is really beating him down, and he wants to find a way out, but there is no way out. And so we see with this too that Kino gives an amazing speech. Andy Serkis gives this amazing speech during this and does an amazing performance, and then Stellan Skarsgård has to come in there and this is like, hold my beer. Let me just come in here and just blow all expectations out of the water. Oh my God. It was like, I seriously, like, they upped the level again. I was like, how are they doing this? And just...
It was so funny. So I was watching that episode and I get to the end and my son walks in, and he hasn't seen all of the episodes yet, so I didn't really want to see him. I paused it. I didn't want anything to be ruined. And he goes, "Hey, that's the guy from Thor." And I was like, "Oh, yeah. This is I forget his name right now, but he plays Dr. Selvig."
Yes, Aaron Selvig, right?
Yeah, from Thor, and he's like, he was the one running around naked at Stonehenge. And I was like, oh,
that's something you're going to remember as a kid, It's like, that's what I want to do.
Brilliant actor. And right. They had him running around completely pantsless.
In the best Thor movie ever, Thor: The Dark World.
Yeah.
I wonder how they sold that for Stellan Skarsgård too. It's like, look, you're gonna have to strip down in front of Stonehenge.
A really cool guy to hang out with.
All right, I'm just gonna have to do this, guys. What do I have to sacrifice? My clothes! Oh, my clothes!
Yeah. Here's another 0 on the contract.
I know. But back to this. Oh my God, that was an amazing amazing dialogue, a monologue that this character got, and that just really got to reveal everything that the character of Luthen is. I talked about last week how I thought that maybe he's a potential like Sith Lord behind the scenes or something. I kind of jokingly said that. I don't really believe that. This is a kooky theory I had. But at the same time, like, this character, he talked about, like, I set an equation for 15 years and set along this path to do this. And what he's had to sacrifice is calm, kindness, kinship, love. It's just like everything that he's had to put aside for something that's not going to bear fruit for him. He's like, he's planting a tree. This is essentially like the quote that plant a tree so that your generations to come can have shade that you'll never see. It's kind of that situation. And I loved that. And that shows you how much these individual characters have to sacrifice in order to rebel against this corrupt empirical system. And just beautifully written. Boo Willimon, again, amazing job on that. Ooh, I think I lost recording. I lost your video there. You might be coming back here in a second. Technical difficulties, everybody. But are you still there, brother?
I'm still here. Yep.
Okay. It's just not showing your... I can't see his handsome face over here for someone. So for everybody listening to the podcast version of this episode, I lost the feed for Matt.
No worries.
So yeah, you don't have to worry about that. But yeah, that speech was amazing, and it's just like, once again, that took it over the top for me for this episode in particular. There's a couple other things I kind of wanted to bring up here with Mon Mothma's character and the Chandrillan marriage and everything. We kind of get a little bit of clarification on that. You know, we've seen throughout this series, like, she's been not at odds with her husband, but they've definitely been aloof to each other and kind of like, you know, not the best couple, if we were to say that. But apparently that's like, and we're getting this information about Chandrilla, which apparently is a core planet, which is very close to Coruscant, so they're one of the inner planets. And if you guys didn't know, in Star Wars, in the Star Wars universe, the closer you are to the core planets, the more prestige you have. It's like you're the upper crust, upper class kind of people, and the farther that you're out from that, the more podunk you are. So it's like, you know, we're more hillbillies on Tatooine and whatnot, if you want to relate it to that. But in Chandrilla, apparently they have some antiquated practices when it comes to marriage, and we're getting an idea of that. And I kind of tried to research this out to see if there's anything in the books or anything else. Doesn't look like there really is, so we're seeing this for the first time in the show. But from the gist that I can see is it seems like these upper caste of families, these kind of royalty families in this society on Chandrilla, basically, you know, they have arranged marriages and things like that. So they marry into these upper classes and everything when they're really young, and it's not really for love. It's just to consolidate power and everything, and, you know, influence and whatnot. So we got to kind of get to see that. And, you know, when she's trying to get her money siphoned and everything, that amount of credits, the 400,000 credits, I think, is what she was saying that she's trying to hide and whatnot. Basically, she's the offer that she got was to have an arranged marriage for her daughter, which she is vehemently opposed to, but she's got no other choice. And I loved how that was played out for this. What do you think, Matt? What did you think of that whole scene?
Yeah, I thought that was intriguing. And again, you just can't find fault in any of the performances, even the minor ones.
Yeah.
And that whole exchange, you know, I was like, well, I mean, he's saying they're not talking about betrothal, but it really seems like they are.
He's
and
like,
that's
I know,
super
right?
sketch from the way that he brought it up, like $400,000 for your daughter's hand in marriage. But I
but he said it wasn't betrothal; it was
full-
just a meeting. But I think that what we're supposed to be implied here is if these two upper class family kids meet, that apparently they're bound by tradition to marry or something. That's what I think. I'm not sure if that's exactly what we're supposed to interpret from that, but that's kind of what I got, was that, you know, he's being coy about that, be like, oh, it's not betrothal or anything, but he knows that the Chandrillan tradition is for if the kids meet, they will have to marry or something like that. So I think that that's the case that they're talking about there. But it's cool to see that kind of dynamic and different types of traditions and everything in this, and being weaved into the overall narrative. And do you know who else was a Chandrillan in this Star Wars universe, Matt?
No, I hadn't heard of that race before.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, Mon Mothma is, but also the Chancellor before Palpatine, Chancellor Valorum, was also a Chandrillan. They're very, very politically active. You know, like I said, they're part of the core
Enter the
wars.
bureaucrats.
Yep, enter the bureaucrats. This is where his true power will disappear. Amidala. So,
Yeah.
Pretty cool stuff there.
No one clue into the fact, like, you can't talk like that and ever be perceived as anything but evil. You know.
No, I know. It is. But I thought that was a cool. I love that these subplots are actually fitting very well into the story, even though we're getting this prison break alongside all this other material. It all seems to flow very well together, and that shows very much the caliber of writing that we're seeing here. Again, I can't give it up enough for Boo Willimon. Probably the MVP for me. I said the MVP last week was Andy Serkis. The writer of this episode is definitely MVP for me this week because it's just so stellar for me. Yeah. So let's roll over into our ratings of this episode. Why not?
No surprise, 10 out of 10 for all the reasons that we've gone over, man. There's just nothing to find fault in here.
No.
And it continues to excite me for what is going to happen next. I don't have any way of knowing, and I really enjoy it. I really enjoy the unpredictable nature of this show and the fact that it's taking Star Wars so seriously. I love that sort of fresh take on the universe. And don't get me wrong, I love the Buck Rogers feel of the originals. I love all of the action built into Star Wars films and shows. I love The Mandalorian. I just really like that this is something totally different, and they keep doubling down on that. They are just not swaying from that approach, and I think having Tony Gilroy at the helm has been extremely beneficial to make that happen.
All right, guys. Matt's excited. We got an excited Matt over here. This is great.
What about you? What's your rating?
So my rating, oh man, it is like, and I hate to give I keep giving this show 10 out of 10s on this, and I feel like, I got to do this
because there's no 11 on the dial.
If there was an 11 on the dial, I would definitely give this 11 out of 10, guys. It's that good. It's a step beyond all the other episodes. It's by far my favorite episode so far of this show, and I keep saying that week after week because it just gets better and better. It continues to outperform itself each and every week. I wonder if we're gonna get a dud here at some point, but I don't think so. I think we're gonna continue to get awesome stuff. So I mean, it's definitely a 10 out of 10 for me too. I'm very excited to see how they wrap this all up. I kind of feel like I wanted to go into a little bit of speculation too, Matt, about like where we might end up here, and I kind of think that the overall arc of this season is going to be a big rebellion on Ferrix, the planet that Bix is on and everything, and Andor's mom. We were visited this planet in the beginning of the series, and we've seen it throughout the series as well. And I think it's culminating into all those people rebelling against the Empire there, and so that's going to be our big event coming up for the season finale of this show. What do you think? Do you think that'll be the end point of this season?
Yeah, I think so too, which will be a launching point for season 2 in much the way that we see things escalate in the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy. The rebel forces taking up arms against stormtroopers will incite an imperial response of some kind. I think that there'll be a lot of sort of embarrassment at a high level, and so they'll have to make an example of the planet. We'll probably open season 2 with a tragedy of some kind in response to the uprising that occurs at the end of this season. But that's just being super speculative. You wanted to go there, so I'm throwing out ideas.
Yeah, and I've read an interview with Tony Gilroy, and they've done pre-production on season 2 already. They actually start filming.
Thank you.
They start filming in 7 days. November 21st is when they start filming for Andor season 2.
Do we have a premiere date yet?
I don't think we have a premiere date just yet, but it's coming out pretty soon. Not that soon, but yeah, they're definitely filming next week, and basically the main area they're going to be focused on is Yavin 4. So we're going to get a lot of time on Yavin 4 and the rebellion being built up right before Rogue One as well. So there might be a time jump as well for this. There might be a few time jumps in the next season But that's the primary place that they're going to be focusing on is Yavin 4. I thought that was really exciting, so I was like, ooh, very cool. And I wonder if they'll go on location, too.
Well, and I wonder if we'll get Jen. I wonder if at some point, we'll get a cameo or a mention. I don't know.
Maybe they. I don't know, but she came into that movie with all of this stuff already established and everything at the end of Andor's story too. So maybe that's where it ends.
Or maybe her dad.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, maybe they can say. Yeah, maybe they can get him on the show. I don't know for sure what they're gonna do with that. But we also the other thing I wanted to talk about, at least for this season as well of Andor, is Cyril Karn. We didn't get to see our buddy eating cereal this week. But I had talked about last week how they're kind of setting this guy up as this Norman Bates type of character. And I think what is going to happen with this character is, and I think this is my theory, guys, I'll put this out here for you guys. I thought it was actually going to happen this week on the show. It might happen tomorrow night, but we shall see. But I think that this character is going to go off the deep end. And Miro, Supervisor Miro from the ISB, she's getting very close to capturing Andor, and all this stuff is about to go off. And he's the wild card. And I think that what he's going to do is he's probably going to kill Miro and then kill his mother and everything. And they're going to have a scene of him eating the cereal with his mother dead there, or him covered in blood, or some really crazy thing like that. But he's a wild card because we see throughout history too, when it comes to these sort of situations with underdogs and things. We've seen it in American history and the American Revolution as well. Crossing the Delaware for George Washington and the colonial troops. The only reason they were going to get the drop on the British was because the weather. It was foggy, so people couldn't see them crossing the river, so they got the drop on them. Certain events just take place that set you up for success, and oftentimes it's just a thing of luck and everything. And this might be that kind of situation where we have this character in Cyril Karn that goes off the deep end here, because he's getting ignored and everything else, and he kills these people that are really close.
Fog. Yeah.
Pretty much. He is the Delaware. That's what we'll call him, or the Delaware Fog here. But he's the one that keeps the rebellion going. They probably would have been caught and snuffed out by Supervisor Miro if not for Cyril Karn intervening and killing these people and going off the deep end. I kind of feel like that's exactly where they're going with the character. So that's my theory. We'll find out in the next couple of episodes, though. I might be completely wrong.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel
love your idea, man. That would be out of nowhere. That would be definitely a surprise,
Right.
But,
and if they're really going for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they really have to pay this character off some reason for this character to be in this series and to fit into the overall storyline. And that's the best way I can see him fitting into this and the building of this rebellion and the success of the rebellion, because he's clearly not going to be supporting the rebellion or anything. He's dead set on finding Andor and securing justice for the galaxy and all sorts of stuff, and eating the cereal.
Taking it into his own hands. He's been slighted a number of times. And rejected by pretty much any female character he has any sort of
right,
not just romantic interest in, but some kind of love interest in him, including his mom. So it very much could go that route, as you're saying, the Norman Bates path.
So you heard it here first on Fatherly Fandom. We called it, so mark your calendars, guys. On that, we're the first.
We have our first serial killer
in Star Wars.
I mean, even the cereal, it's a little.
That's the hint. That's the hint right there. The cereal. It's in plain sight. He's a serial killer. Cyril Karn, serial killer, serial eater. It fits his character to a T, so we shall see about that. But yeah, I do think that's where they're going. Can't wait to see where they're headed with this and the next couple of episodes. Can't wait for you guys to join us. But do we have anything else before we dive off of this prison platform into the waters?
No, we've got a lot of stuff coming up, and if you have suggestions for films, like Chris mentioned, we'll be reviewing Wakanda Forever. We'll be reviewing Willow. And we'll have lots of things coming up for our Christmas celebration, our holiday movies throughout December. So stay tuned for a lot more and send us the movies you want us to watch and review on here, and we will get to all of them.
Absolutely, we will. So from our families to yours,
have a good one.
May the Force be with you. On program!